Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that takes the lead in today's edition for Monday, 2nd December 2024, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. Free movement on the agenda for CARICOM. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's a service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. CARICOM's Secretary General, Dr. Carla Barnett, during her opening statements at the 59th regular meeting of the 2024 Quartet at the CARICOM Secretariat in Georgetown, Guyana, urged ministers of trade to fully utilize the treaty's rules and flexibilities on agenda items. CVM News has more in this business report.
CARICOM Secretary General Dr. Carla Barnett, during her opening statements at the 59th regular meeting of the 2024 Quartet at the Caribbean Secretariat, Georgetown, Guyana, urged ministers of trade to make full use of the treaty's rules and flexibilities on agenda items.
The agenda before us is extensive, covering important regional trade, economic integration, and development issues. As this Quartet deliberates, we are reminded that the framers of the revised treaty sought to be careful to strike the right balance between the common interests of the community and the interests of member states within our community of sovereign states. They did not intend to promote winners and losers. Rather, the objective is a community that supports enhanced trade, investment, integration of production and development for all.
COTED, which is the Council for Trade and Economic Development, is a CARICOM decision-making body, which, among other things, supports the production, quality control, and marketing of industrial and agricultural commodities, and oversees the operations of the single market and economy. Jamaica's Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, in leading Jamaica's delegation, highlighted regional trade and economic issues, including requests for suspension of the common external tariff set on specific products, matters relating to renewable energy, and the status of the community intellectual property framework at the top of the agenda for Jamaica. Minister Johnson-Smith paid particular attention to matters affecting regional trade in sugar and cement, and developments concerning tariff adjustments to refined petroleum products.
I very much look forward to participating in this meeting of the Council as we seek to promote an increase in exports by Jamaican companies, including through regional trade. Prior to going to Guyana, at the ministry, we convened a meeting with stakeholders from the private sector in Jamaica. So we anticipate addressing their concerns over the coming days, together with some of the core issues that affect the wider regional private sector.
Regarding the external trade agenda, CARICOM ministers also focused on multilateral developments within the World Trade Organization, as well as the CARICOM Colombia concluding negotiations for additional preferential market access. Dr. Barnett also commended the progress being made in a number of areas, including the implementation of approved categories of workers under the free movement of skills regime of the CARICOM single market and economy.
I am pleased to note that this Quartet has several items on which progress has been made. There are others for which finalization of work is possible, including the reports on the review of the common external tariff and the rules of origin, the report on the draft rules of procedure for the Quartet, and preparation for further negotiations with Colombia. Free movement of skills, the reports of progress on free movement of skills, the reports of progress in implementing all the approved categories and consideration of the addition of aviation personnel is encouraging. These efforts will strengthen the free movement of skills regime as action to implement the conference's decision on full free movement continues to percolate.
Chair of the meeting, Senator the Honourable Paula Gopi-Schoon, Minister of Trade and Industry of Trinidad and Tobago, emphasised the importance of the deliberations in advancing the community's agenda.
I want to emphasise this morning the important role that is assigned to us in COTED as a council that addresses the single market and trade and economic development issues that are at the forefront of our community's agenda. Our meeting will consider actionable recommendations of your senior officials who met earlier this month on the 6th and 7th of November. And I'm confident that the report of the preparatory meeting of officials and other documentation that they have been reviewed and the delegations are briefed and therefore ready to work.
And that was your business report.
There are reports that the United Nations is evacuating a small number of staff in Haiti as gang violence escalates in Port-au-Prince. More than 40,000 people have been displaced from the capital in the last 10 days, according to UN data. Jacqueline Charles, Haiti Caribbean correspondent for the Miami Herald, joined CBS News to discuss the situation.
Jacqueline, always great to have you when we're talking about what is happening in Haiti. So what can you tell us about the latest developments there?
Well, what we are seeing, as you mentioned in your intro, is that the UN and other aid agencies are relocating staff. In some cases, they're moving to the north to Cap-Haïtien, which is the second largest city, which basically has a small international airport, which right now offers the only air bridge in and out of Haiti. And in other cases, they are leaving. They're relocating to other places. The U.S. Embassy, for instance, did an evacuation flight for diplomats. It's the fifth time since 2019 that the U.S. has evacuated its staff at its embassy. We have no idea how many people are currently left, and they are quietly evacuating American citizens in need. But most people have to rely on private helicopters, which are also limited. The options are very limited right now to get out the country, as we're seeing an escalation in gang violence. IOM says 40,000 people have been displaced in just 10 days because of this new round of violence.
So there are probably some people, Jacqueline, here in the United States who were perhaps hopeful when it was announced that a peacekeeping force of mostly Kenyan soldiers were going to travel to Haiti to try and bring about some level of peace and security for the people there. But that has been anything but. So what can you tell us now about what the United States is trying to accomplish with the UN peacekeeping force?
Yeah, that force is just 416 individuals when it should be 2,500. The international community has just not responded. The Biden administration has poured over $300 million. They're hoping to provide another $300 million in equipment before they leave, but they're really pushing for a formal UN peacekeeping operation to come into Haiti. But right now, China and Russia are opposed to this, even though this has the support of the majority of the countries in this hemisphere. With this alarming violence that you're seeing in Haiti, 5.4 million people who are going hungry, over 700,000 people who are displaced. This is very worrying for Haiti's neighbors, including the United States at this point, because we know when a country is unstable, that instability has a way of just spilling over.
Yeah, for sure. And what about for those Haitian Americans or simply people who have family here in the United States who want to try to fly out in time for the holidays here? What is happening for them? Are they having to travel by road to the Dominican Republic or some other way to maybe in the north to get out of Haiti?
Well, there is no Dominican Republic. I mean, the airspace between the DR and Haiti has now been closed officially for a year. The border itself is also closed. There are ongoing similar tensions between these two neighbors that share the island of Hispaniola. The only way out is through Cape Haitian, and the only airlines are having to charge exorbitant fees because of the insurance. This month, 3 U.S. airliners were hit by gunfire from gangs in the capital. There is a 30-day ban by the FAA, which expires on the 12th, but we don't know if it will be renewed. And you have an airline like American Airlines, which right away says we're not returning until February 12th, at least. And with Haiti, you never know how things are going to evolve. So right now, people are basically stuck where they are unless they have deep pockets to pay for a helicopter ride, which is $2,500 one way out of the capital, and then to pay for an airfare, which is about $1,400 round trip to the U.S. So we're talking about a lot of money. You really have to be in a desperate situation to either leave or to go.
Yeah, for sure. Jacqueline Charles reporting from Miami for us this morning on the dire situation in Haiti, as she has for nearly 2 decades. Jacqueline, thank you very much. We appreciate it as always.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick in association with our friends at
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Responding to media questions during Thursday's post-cabinet media briefing in Trinidad and Tobago, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said his tightening your belt statement was in reference to the country's overall revenue situation and not the Salaries Review Commission report. TTT News has more.
And the action that we are taking, we expect to be in a difficult situation, present, to 2027, on our revenue building arrangements. And we expect improvements in our revenue building potential when we begin to have more to sell, hopefully in a market that pays a decent price.
Prime Minister Rowley said the timing of the report in relation to upcoming elections does not have any effect on the process.
The first things I did as Prime Minister was to guide the cabinet to pay public servants a $6.5 billion back PSU. Because that's what the government had to do. That's what the government chose to do. That's how the government dealt with it. Okay? And therefore, all these interpretations and this incitement to fear, what do I have to fear?
The Prime Minister said he is prepared to accept the recommendation from the Salaries Review Commission, which increases the salaries of members of the government, opposition, Tobago House of Assembly, President, the judiciary, among others.
In the meantime, Prime Minister Rowley has informed that Finance Minister Colum Imbert will meet with the UE principal in the matter involving the West Indies group of university teachers, WIGUT.
The Prime Minister revealed that this at the post-cabinet media conference on Thursday.
I have directed the Minister of Finance, who is not the employer at the university, he's simply the gatekeeper at the Exchequer. I've directed the Minister of Finance to treat with that matter with the principal, who is in fact in law the employer, and let the processes work. It is the people who are trying to conflate the processes into one and the same. When I just told you, it took 13 years for the SRC report to be where it is here in front of us for that group of officers that's covered by them.
The Bahamas' Prime Minister Philip Davis speaks on crime efforts. This ZNS News item tells us more.
Last month's uptick in crime triggered the Davis administration to shift into the first round of its Clear, Hold, and Build initiative, focused on disrupting gangs, targeting its leaders and members, and removing derelict vehicles and abandoned buildings linked to criminal activities. But Prime Minister yesterday admitted in the House of Assembly that while they do see some glimmer of hope, a complete resetting of the minds of people, particularly the youth, is required.
And the efforts and the initiatives that we have engaged to keep young men and young women engaged, to ensure that their hands are not idle, is taking some root, but it's not sufficient. We will not surrender. We will not retreat. And whereas it does frustrate me, it angers me, and sometimes it's very thankless to see, despite what we attempt to do, it's not working as quickly as we think it would be. We will not give up, because we also believe that it's just a small segment of the society that is wreaking the havoc, that invokes the fear and the concern that we hear so often about.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillean Group.
believe in our strength. We'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give. It's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.